starting off here. Let's talk about our warm-up. So on the warm-up, it's asking you which number is greater, negative 2.3 or 1.2. And then here's the big thing. It says explain using words in a diagram. Talk to your partner. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to show what you did. You can turn Allie and work with them. Just go with Radon and Jay.
Can I do this and just do like a switch arrow?
Yeah. And back. 3, 2, 1. So, this is my explanation. Okay? I had which number is greater, and then I wrote down the problem. So I have the problem because we know that when we look at work quality, writing down the problem, showing your thinking, neat and organized, supporting it, circling your answer, checking your work. These are all work quality expectations that we have. So in order to bring a diagram, I put a number line. I made my scale of 1. And then I made sure it was kind of accurate, right, on each side. I didn't make my big gaps. If that's 1, then that's 1. And it's estimate. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not giving anyone a ruler. Okay, these are all estimations. And so if that's 1, then 1.2 is just after it. If this is negative 2, I know that negative 2.3 is just after it because it is actually a smaller number than negative 2. So I put that on the number line. And then, then I wrote down the number 1.2 is greater than negative 2.3 because, and that's the key word, because I'm asking you to explain. Because 1.2 is positive and negative 2.3 is negative. That's what I wrote down. Some of you might have explained it differently, which is fine. Okay? But that's kind of a general idea of how our warm-up should look and feel and how we're going to use the work quality to make sure that we produce quality work for our warm-up. Questions about that? Okay, hopefully all of you guys grabbed a textbook. If you haven't, please come and grab it. On the back side of the front cover, that's where you write your name. So when you leave it in the classroom, Presley, I can come and give it to you. Not that you would, but you never know. And then hopefully a lot of you got to the reading portion of 7 and 8 because that's going to help you understand some of what we're going to do today. And that will give you a foundation of today's learning before I start getting into the teaching part. If you were looking through the investigation 1, you might have noticed a couple things. The investigation, this is accentuate the negative. This is our entire unit right here. Okay? We're going to be covering this unit for over a month. Investigation 1 is the orange section, and you can see the orange section here. So then the investigation is broken into lessons. Today is the first one, which is 1.1. It's called Math Fever. Towards the end of the orange, if you guys go back to page 20. I know you guys are very new to using books because last year you guys weren't in CMP books. This is called the ACE. If you look at the top, okay, you're going to see the ACE. That stands for Application, Connections, and Extensions. The applications is typically where I get most of my homework from. So I'll list hey, it's problem today. It's problem 2 and 5A, I think, I believe. It's at the end of the slides. And I'll tell you exactly what page is on, page 20. But this is where you get the homework from, is from the ACE. Okay? The other piece of that is the extensions. So if you scroll a couple more pages, the extensions are important in here. Okay? What page is it? 27. Okay, so the extensions are important because I will put over here investigation extension problems. And when you finish what I call your engagement work for the day, okay, this is where I'm going to send you. These problems are good. They're challenging. They really step up your thinking, and they give you opportunities to practice struggling with math. And so you get to find out like what are the strategies that you can use to help solve problems. So not everyone gets there, and that's okay. But if you do get there, that's where you find that work, and this is where it comes from, are the extensions. Questions about this? Going a little slow today so you guys can get a feel for everything, how the classroom looks and feel, and how we move through it. Today we're talking about finding a value of a combination of positive and negative integers. Talk to your partner. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Right here. Positive and negative, Dylan. What does that mean?
Positive numbers are zero, negative numbers are below zero.
Nice.
So I think it means
So I was listening to Ryan. Ryan was saying positive, that's greater than zero. And she said negative, that's less than zero. So what about this combination? Who can explain that? Jaden, what's a combination?
Like adding?
Yeah, it is. It's taking a bunch of numbers, right, and adding them together, basically is what we're going to work on. And what's really cool is that we're going to have positive and negative. So, more explaining. Okay. That will be our focus today. We won't get a lot into that like we normally do because I have to kind of slow down and explain some of this stuff. Homework. This is what I'd like you to do. Read this and tell your partner what you need on your homework. Go. All right. Here is an example. Obviously, I have my example on my slides, so that way if you get home tonight and you're like, oh man, I don't know, what do I need on that homework again? Go to Google Classroom, click on the Google Slides, bam, there's your example. Okay? So you need your name, and I just put because I think we have a couple Jadens, we have a couple Connors, we only have one Allison. That's all we need, right?
Yeah.
And then the investigation. So this is 1.1. Okay, this is the first lesson of investigation 1, and then the page number that the homework is on. Pretty simple. After that, just like work quality, I have to put down exactly what the problem is. So this is problem 1. Whoops. This is problem 1, and it's Super Brains 300. Now, you don't have to write down all the directions, but I do expect you to write down the basics for the problem, just like I wrote down Super Brains 300. So if you want, turn to page 18. Oh, it's not on page 18. It's on page 20. Who put that up there? That is the first and only mistake, Anthony, I'm going to make all year.
Oh, sure.
It is. First and only. Oh. You can't count that high. Because that's how many Anthony, that's how many I'm going to make this year. How funny. You know what? No other class even picked up on that. You guys are like the third class and no one saw that. So page 20. So you can see up top, number 1, it says Super Brains 300. And what it's asking me, how do you think the Super Brains got 300? So this is really important to understand, is that you have to read the black portion of the aces. I just can't get my directions from number 1. I have to read these descriptors up here. And the other thing that they're going to do is they're going to ask you to kind of go back and use some of the learning that you've learned before to help answer the question. So in this game, the Super Brains have 300. You could get 100. I'm going to show you the video here in a second. But here's the game. It's this math fever game. And you can see that they could earn 50, 100, 150, 200, or 250. So how did they get 300? My answer, I just wrote it down. And what did I do? I circled my answer, just like the work quality. I explained how I got the answer. That would be a great example of homework. Okay, Jaden, Dylan?
Let's just say you signed it like one part. Do you have to do the entire page full of it?
Nope.
Okay.
Any other questions? That's a good question. Okay. So that's homework. If you get home tonight and you kind of like forget, don't worry, we're doing it every night. You'll get in the routine, and I'm not going to make you like do anything crazy because you made a couple mistakes. Okay, so I'll give you time. So today, this is what I call the basically the learning piece of our lesson. So your binder is going to be broken up into a couple different things. You're going to have a warm-up and exit tickets. That's going to be the first place in your binder. You'll have a divider and it will say warm-up and exit tickets because that's the first thing we do every day. So when we get those, that will be the first one. Then the next one is called learning. That's what this piece is. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And the other one is homework, and we just kind of went over homework. The resources are things like this that I gave you when you walked in the door today. These are resources. I'll use these and I'll ask you to turn to them. Okay? And then the last one is vocab, and we'll get to vocab next week, and we'll start putting stuff in there as well. Jaden?
When do you think we get our binder?
Yeah, well, it said Thursday, and then it said Tuesday, and now it's saying tomorrow. Cross our fingers, right? Presley?
Are we going to have separate binders, like, for math?
Yes, you'll have a math binder that goes to your locker, and then home, and then back to your locker, then to class, and then to your locker, and then home, and then you get it.
Okay, do we have
Josh?
like a binder for every class?
You only have 2 binders. You have a binder for science, and you have a binder for math. Mr. Getz is paperless, and Miss Fisher at the moment is not going to start a binder right off.
Well, she has her own.
She does, but she's not sure if that's a question for her. But I know that she's not starting off with it. Josh?
Can't we just get binders and tabs at Walmart?
Because we can buy quality binders for a reduced price because we buy so many. So it actually saves you money, saves you time, and saves you a headache. We're getting good quality binders for a good price.
Doesn't really save you a headache because they're super late.
True.
At Walmart, you could just get like a regular binder.
So, here we go. Moving on. This next portion. So you all grabbed a blank piece of paper when you walked in the door. Please grab that piece of paper, put that in front of you. And if you didn't, the blank piece of paper is up here. So pretty much every day, you're going to be using this paper. So you need to buy paper for your binder. If you already have it, awesome. If you don't worry about it because you don't even have the binders. Right, Olive? You don't have to worry about it yet.
The college rolled packages, right?
Okay? Yeah, college route packages. So this is how we label, okay, our papers for the learning portion of the day. Your name goes up in the corner, and then you put the title and the investigation title. I always have the investigation title on the Google slide. Here it is, investigation 1.1, playing math fever. So you would write that across the top, and then you put a line across, just like I did right here. Then below that, you're going to write notes. Notes are what you plan to take. Now, I will tell you, and I always have a notes page. I'll say, hey, you need to write this down. I'll tell you what to write down. If you want to write more than that, that is fine. Okay? But there are certain pieces that I ask you to specifically write. Because I'll say, if you forget something, I'll say, hey, go back to 1.1 and read that. How do you make a number line? Because that's what we're going to learn about today. So I'm going to play this video. And if you want to take notes during the video, that's fine.
From the desk of Ms. Bernowski's math class, it's time to play Math Fever. Okay, students, you know how this game is played. Team Rocket Scientists, it's your pick.
We'll take area and perimeter for 250 points.
What is the surface area of a sphere with a circumference of 32 pi yards? 500 pi square yards. Oh, I'm sorry, rocket scientists. You're down 250 points.
Ooh. So, you guys. That's old. That's so old.
It is not. Roblox will never die.
It's so old. All right. So, 250. What happened there? Talk to your partner.
He got it wrong.
So, the Rockets got it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So, Rockets have negative 250. It's not minus 250. It's a negative 250. They earned a negative 250, and that's a really important understanding that they earned this. So they added a negative 250 to their already total, which was 0.
Know-it-alls, do you want to try this one? Okay, it's your pick then, know-it-alls.
We'll take probability for 150 points.
There are 9 pieces of fruit in a bag. The probability of choosing an apple from the bag is 2/3. How many apples are in the bag?
6.
Very nice job, know-it-alls. It's your pick again.
What happened there?
They got it right. They got it right.
So, know-it-alls, they get it right, so they have a positive 150.
We'll take operations with fractions for 200, please.
What is 9/12 divided by 3/4?
9/16.
Oh, I'm sorry, Team Know-it-alls. That is incorrect.
1.
Looks like Team Rocket Scientist is going to the moon as we add 200 points to their total.
Okay. So, the know-it-alls tried to answer a 200-point question. Did they get it right?
No.
No. So they earned what? Negative 200. So they earned negative 200. So this is how I'd write this. Rocket scientists, they were like, yo, we got this. Okay? So the rocket scientists, they get it. So they earn a positive 200. Talk to your partners about what are their scores currently going.
Can we please have factors or multiples for 100?
What is the least common multiple of 18 and 24? 72. Nice job, Team Rocket Scientists. That brings you back to the positive territory.
How much was that? How much was that worth?
100.
Okay. So, rocket scientists plus 100. Okay, and it is a positive because they got that right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to stop right there for right now. I know the suspense, right? Are the know-it-alls going to come back?
No.
Doubt it. So currently, this is what I want you to talk to your partner about. Which team has the highest score? Which team has the lowest score? How did you decide? Okay, go. Those 3 questions. Nope.
I didn't see the score, but I and then the lowest score is
Check it out. 1 box of many?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Should we tell
Okay.
YouTube what we're cheering about?
Do it tomorrow. Yeah, thank you.
Should we tell Wait, are those binders or no?
Binders. All right. So this is what I want you guys to understand here. Let's look over here. So a number line is a great way to, let's say I'm beginning to figure out positive and negative numbers and how they value and how to add them together. So if I make a number line and if I look at the team, if I look at the scoreboard, let's go to the scoreboard. Okay. What is the smallest amount that you can earn or lose? 50. So that becomes my scale in my number line for this game. That's the smallest amount. So I make this number line up here. I have my positive by 50, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. And then 50 this way, going into the negatives. So this is how I would use, let's just take the rocket scientists. I would go to negative 250 to start. So yeah, they got that wrong. So they're way down here to start because they started at 0, negative 250. But then they got one right, and it was worth 200. So now I'd go 50, 100, 150, 200. So at one point, they had negative 50. But then they answered another question right. How many hops is 100 if my scale is 50?
2.
2 hops. So I go 2 more hops.
50.
So this is their current score, 50. Okay, I'm going to show you more in depth here, just a little bit about how you can do something like that using a different problem. So, notes. So now, on your paper, I'd like you to copy down this number line and take down these notes. So as you're trying to figure out your number line and your scale, one of the things that you can do is to think about the smallest amount. In the game that we just saw, the smallest amount was 50.
Where do you put the number line?
Just right below the notes. So if you look over here at my example, I got the title, right? Notes. And then I drew the number line. I filled in the number line according to the game that we just saw by 50. I did the negative side. I did the positive side. Okay, and then I would write down the words because that's going to help you remember, oh, this is how I find and this is how I make my number line. My smallest amount becomes my scale. I place 0, and then using my scale, I fill in the positive side and fill in the negative side. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. So this smallest amount, another term that you would use, it's called the smallest common multiple. And in this case, our common smallest multiple was 50. Because 100 is divisible by 50, 150 is divisible by 50. 200 is divisible by 50. So that's called our least common multiple. And then we're going to use that multiple for, well, actually it's not the least common, it's the common multiple. Sorry. Least common would be 2, because 2 goes in all of them. But it is the common multiple that we'll use for our timeline. Okay, just finish up writing that. If you need to, ask someone beside you or behind you what the rest of those notes were, that's fine. But I would like to move ahead to the engagement piece. So this is going to be pretty different than how you guys have done math in 6th grade. So what you would go ahead and write is you'd write engagement 101 and draw a line underneath your notes. So here are my notes. I write engagement 101, draw a line across. Now we basically do this almost every single day. Is that we have title, we have some notes, and then we always get to this engagement piece. Now, on the engagement piece, you do not need to write what the engagement is. This is where you actually do the engagement. So it tells you, do problems on page 9. And these are the problems that I would like you to do. I do not tell you just go to page 9 and do everything. Rarely do I have you do everything that's in the book. I kind of select what I would like you to do. And this is how I show you to select. So if it says A all, can everyone turn to page 9 in their textbook? So here's page 9 in my textbook. And you can see there's A. And then there's 1, 2, and 3. So I come over here, it says A all. When it says A all, Ben, that means you're going to do 1, 2, and 3. You're going to do all of A, whatever's in there. When you go to this part, you always need to read this portion up here. Okay, you just can't go and just go to 1, because you're gonna miss some information. If you look at B, you notice at B they have this piece right here, and then it goes 1. You need to read this piece in order to do 1. You see that, Chris? Yeah. See how it has an explanation there? Okay, C&P does this a lot, and it does it in the homework a lot too. Okay, they'll have like an explanation piece, and then they'll say 1. So in order to do that, you got to read the explanation piece. So A1, you would start this. Now, we don't do these together. You do them independently, or with a little bit of scaffolding or help from your partner, or from a little bit of scaffolding and help from me, or from Mrs. Jones. This is self-paced. So I will put on the board the problems. Okay, if you get through those, it will say at the bottom, extensions. And the extensions are over here. Now I knew that we're not going to get to the extensions today, so they're not on the board. But this is where you would find the extensions. So if you get through the work over here, it will say like extension number 78. Go to it. Now I'm going to tell you, these are hard, right? I was talking about them before. They're challenging problems. Do I expect you to know the answer right off the bat? No. If you do, great. But the chances are you are going to have to use a lot of your math skills, your growth mindset, to kind of persevere to get through and figure out what the answer is. My priority and Mrs. Jones' priority isn't helping kids with extensions, although we will. But our priority is helping kids with this engagement piece. So if you go to the extensions, A, you've done all this work well, okay, and correctly, and you'll see tomorrow you're going to be able to check your work. And then what I'm asking you to do is to go and work independently or with a partner, depending on who's finished, to go and try to challenge yourself on the extensions. And not everyone gets to those. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah, thumbs up. Makes sense. Some medium. It's a lot of talking. Okay. Well, right, we're going to be doing this every day, so you'll get used to it. That's what I'd like you to do. Go ahead. Start on AL. So the way it looks is you would go to 1.1, you would write A1, and start answering them. Okay, again, if you need some help, you can raise your hand, but there's other things you can do first. Reread the problem, look at your notes, use your notes. Your notes help a bunch. One more thing. One last thing. I gave you guys blank number lines in your packet because you might want to use those, especially hint, A2. A2, when it asks you for the difference, these number lines really help. Okay, so you can use these. Yep. Yep. So this is, see how I wrote engagement 1.1? Draw a line, boom. And then you just start working through the problems. I wrote engagement 1.1 because that was the lesson. And then I wrote A1.
Okay, I was just wondering because right here it says problem.
Oh. Positive score. This little number line. Sure, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I like it.
I try to do like those resource packets.
Perfect.
Sometimes I forget to mention to the kids, hey, here's the number lines that I just did. I answered the problem.
We'll see.
That's cute. So you'll see tomorrow I'll have, we'll review answers. So you can see like, yeah, or like, ooh, I was close. And we'll talk about it. We always talk about a few of them. Yeah. Yep, negative 300, 150. That's what I'm looking for. So that's why they use the number line for, yes, that's the perfect scaffold. Find the difference. So check this out. Okay. I'm going to make another number line. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? It's not exactly what they have. It's to be calculated. Let's say that's negative 400, 200. So this would be 100 there, 100 there, 400, 2. So Jay, this is a little bit different. Okay? So if it said find the difference, and let's say I had the cows had 100, and the ducks had negative 200. Of course it is.
Okay.
So, what I would do, I'm going to compare these two scores. I'm going to find the difference between these two numbers. So I'm going to go to the ducks. I'm going to put them up here. That's where the ducks are, right? Negative 200. Then we go to the cows. I'm going to put them on 100. And now I have to know how far is it from here to here. So I'll go, how far is it from negative 200 to 0? 200. How far is it from 0 to 100? So if I add those together, so this, so then I could write, the difference between the ducks and cows is 100. So that's comparing those scores. Okay? Now your scores are going to be different because your scale on your number line is by 50, not by 100. Does that make sense, Jack?
Yeah.
Do you remember what kind of book it was? Was it like everything in there? Was it Singapore now?
So on that last one where it says it says you have two possible ratios to score. Do you have to do
Ratios, proportions.
could it only be, does it have to be a specific amount of numbers?
No,
Not so much.
yeah. So,
Thinking.
number sentence and use numbers.
Possible ways. So was it like this when you did explain?
Yeah, okay.
More like,
Yeah.
Let me make sure it's on my track.
did you guys get into the technological portion? Did you have variable?
Like, so what's the difference from here to here?
Gotcha. And we're not going to
What's the difference from here to here? What's the difference from here to here? Does that make sense? I would, some kids are just doing it on a number line, just drawing like super brains to rocket science, it's this,
Yeah, that works.
blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? And there's a number line here if you want to do it.
If you have,
Kind of. The rocket science.
how you planned it. You showed it to 0 and then exactly how you did it. Good. Okay, guys, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Okay. Your name should be on that notes on your engagement piece. Tomorrow, now if you remember over here, I have the calendar, and that kind of gives you an idea. Like I try to stay to the calendar as best I can. You can see we started 1.1. Tomorrow we're going to finish it. So tomorrow we'll have a lot more time to do math. Okay, less of me blah 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 blah. We will set up our binders, so it's going to cut into a little bit of this time. So we might not get through all of what I wish we could get through. And then you can see like 1.2, that's just one day. So when we have one day for a lesson, we're on it. Okay, so that kind of gives you the pacing, kind of helps me, because ultimately we're ready by the 30th of October. You guys are going to rock this quiz that I'm going to give you. You're going to absolutely crush it, I hope, because that would be great for me, because that means I did a good job teaching. And if you don't, then Mr. McFarland, bad, boo. I would like you to put your notes, okay, your warm-up and exit ticket, and the packet you grabbed at the door, have your name on that packet, okay, on the top of your that pile, because I'm going to collect it. I want your warm-up and exit ticket, because your exit ticket is what's up. In your planner, this is so cool. In your planner, you guys, and you can remind me tomorrow, I put them on my desk, it says get your syllabuses signed. You want to hear something cool, Mrs. Jones?
What?
This is the first class with all their syllabuses signed. Yay! So, they all get a homework pass. Yay! Bam! Yeah, baby. Nice. Nice.
I'd rather save it.
See, that was awesome when Jaden was like, oh, do you need this? Because she was the last one.
Jaden.
Pulling us through, Jaden. Pulling us through. All right. So all you guys need to do, tomorrow I'll get you those passes. So you need to write in today, on the 22nd, for math, problem 2 in 5C, page 20. That's what's due for tomorrow. And remember how you make it look? Okay, I showed you the example at the beginning with homework. Kind of looks like this. You find a piece of paper. If you need another piece, there's paper in the back. I got paper up front. You can grab a piece, take it home. But this is what it looks like. My name, Investigation 1.1. It will say page 20. You can barely even tell, Ben. It was 20 all along. It was 20. It was.
I don't see the name.
Okay.
You should put a period next to your M.
So, again, in your planner, problem 2 and 5C. Super important that you guys do this. On your exit ticket, here it is. 50 plus negative 100 plus 200 plus negative 150. It equals X. Tell me what X is. What does X equal?
Use your number line, okay? It's going to help.
You do that number line, it will help.
You got it right here. Oh, here, right here. Yours is really good. Yours is really good, too.
Vanessa's trying to do it in her head. Remember, hey, on your exit ticket, you need to write the problem down. You need to have the problem on your exit ticket.
Yeah. We'll get our binders where it'll all be.
Yeah, it will be
They're
way.
here. We're not going to keep saying it. They're actually here. They're in the building. Well, they're in the room.
Okay, get that down. Get your exit ticket out.
So do we write our homework on this page? Like,
No, a brand new piece.
Okay,
Brand new
got
piece. Brand new piece of lease. You're actually going to give me all of this. But what you want to do right now, dang. Bam. Done. You did that in your head, huh, Lise? Why'd you use that?
I got the answer. 50 plus minus 100.
So, come over here. You don't need to be looking at her. You need to be looking at me. Okay. Last. I'm going to show you. So, hey, eyes on me. 1, 2, 3. 50. Start at 50. Bam. There I am. Plus negative 100. I know when I add negatives, I go to the left. So this would be 50. That would be 100. So it's negative 100. Now I'm here. Then it says add 200. So this would be 50, 100, 150, 200. That brings me there. Plus negative 150. Again, negative. I go to the left. 50, 100, answer 0. So that's how a number line can really help you out. Okay? You can move the number line. We set up our scale. Obviously, this is from that same game because the values are all multiples of 50. Carl is going to collect your stack of papers for your binder for tomorrow. We're going to put them in. We're going to go with Presley. Thank you for being a volunteer. Presley's going to collect the middle column. Anthony's got U3. Okay? Give those to me. Thank you very much.